Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. Once again, you are all welcome here on the Éveil de Conscience platform. In significant international news, the esteemed NATO member states, specifically the highly ranking Chiefs of Defense Staff of the various NATO armies, meticulously held an urgent and indeed emergency meeting, a very crucial and pressing one, just yesterday, on August 20th, 2025, and they promptly gathered together for an important ad hoc virtual meeting to discuss critical matters. A virtual meeting. So, it was a virtual summit, that's how urgent it was. They met to make a significant number of crucial decisions against the Russian Federation, primarily because over the past 48 hours, or even more specifically the last 12 hours, Russia has regrettably carried out extremely dangerous, devastating and harmful massive strikes against Ukraine. Despite the persistent peace efforts initiated by Donald Trump, Russia regrettably continues to launch these aggressive strikes. So, this meeting took place in Brussels. What happened? It's within the context of this video conference and this news that we are going to talk. But before continuing, I humbly ask you to share the video conference as much as possible. It needs to be shared in every possible group. Give it lots of likes. And above all, don't forget to always leave your opinion in the comments. Your samurai is extremely congested with a cold. I think the changing climate is affecting me since on the other side, in Egypt, it's very hot, extremely hot. A country where they went more than 30 years without seeing rain. And now I've just been caught in the rain here in the Republic of Guinea. There you have it. So I caught a cold right away and that's that, but we'll deal with it. So, let's dive deeper. A meeting was called. And the meeting was held on August 20th, 2025, so yesterday, Wednesday, via video conference from Brussels with the participation of 32 Chiefs of Staff of the armed forces from NATO member countries. So, you see, NATO is now meeting about the Russian situation. And these are NATO's war chiefs, meaning the Chiefs of Staff of the armed forces from the 32 member countries who met via video conference. You have to realize the scale of the situation. So, the meeting was organized and chaired by Admiral Giuseppe Cavo Dragone. Admiral Giuseppe Cavo Dragone is Italian. He's the Chief of Defense Staff of Italy, and at the same time, he's the chairman of the NATO Military Committee. So, it was a meeting of the NATO Military Committee chaired by its supreme leader. The objective of this meeting was to respond to an escalation of Russian strikes against strategic civilian infrastructure, as well as to coordinate an urgent response from the allies. How exactly are Ukraine's key allies going to effectively respond to Russia's ongoing aggression, and precisely how can that crucial response be meticulously coordinated among them? Because it genuinely feels like Vladimir Putin is openly mocking Washington and the entirety of Europe with his actions. Yes, he's even mocking NATO because it's hard to understand. Right after the interview with Donald Trump, and then he moves on to another phase. It's hard to understand. So, we are witnessing an official statement made by Mark Rutte, who is the current Secretary General of NATO, as you already know. He said the following. He said, NATO remains firmly united in the face of the Russian threat, and this meeting is essential to ensure stability in Ukraine. Here is the statement made by Mark Rutte. So, he considers that this video conference meeting, which brings together all the Chiefs of Defense Staff of NATO armies, is essential for stability in Ukraine. So, what are the real reasons and the military context that led NATO to hold this meeting? We are going to look at the implications of this meeting, right? It should be noted that in the 48 hours preceding the meeting, Russia struck several Ukrainian cities. Kharkiv was hit, devastated. There were several deaths and injuries. Zaporizhia was hit. Energy infrastructure was targeted. In Odessa, the oil depot was damaged. So these strikes targeted Ukraine's rear and logistical lines. All of this increases the pressure on Ukraine. Because as we mentioned in the previous video conference, Russia wants to stay one step ahead. Russia is continuing because the advent of peace is imminent, negotiations are imminent. So Russia is sticking to a hard line. Now it must be said that here is the context that explains the urgency of this meeting that was held. NATO does not want to back down. So, what should be said? it must be said that regarding this meeting, there have been reactions and some initial decisions have been made. It should already be noted that even within the European Union itself, there have been differences among the allies, because some countries like France, the United Kingdom, and Germany have expressed their openness to sending contingents under the European banner to Ukraine. So the idea of sending soldiers to Ukraine has come up again. They want to send them. These are the same countries that have been active, the three of them, France, the United Kingdom, and Germany. And it should also be noted that other countries, especially in Central Europe, remain very cautious and fear a direct escalation with Moscow. So, not all European countries agree with this idea from Germany, France, and the United Kingdom to send soldiers to Ukraine. But it should also be said that on the Russian side, the Kremlin spokesperson, whom you already know, Dmitry Medvedev, warns that such a Western presence in Ukraine would be seen as a direct entry into war with Russia. So they want to be left alone to continue plowing through Ukraine and reclaim as much territory as possible, especially since Washington is already pressuring Ukraine to cede the lands already conquered to Russia. So they want to be left alone to devour Ukraine in peace. So, during this meeting, serious decisions were made. And according to General Carsten Breuer, who is the head of the German army, he estimated that a truly credible deployment of military personnel would require tens of thousands of soldiers. So Germany is on the red line, the hard line. Troops need to be deployed in Ukraine. In addition to that, the Allies have given their General Staff a mandate to further explore concrete military options. What is the option, or what are the concrete military options that need to be taken to make Putin understand that they are truly serious? So here is one of the decisions that was made. Whatever happens, Europe is getting ready, NATO is getting ready. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was the top international news story. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I'll be back with more news shortly. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.